Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 955. I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Morning, in Vancouver.
And Kyle in Van Nuys, California.
Beautiful Van Nuys.
You used to say Los Angeles, but now you've localized it a little more.
Yeah, I mean, Van Nuys is huge. There's no way you'll find me.
This isn't like one of those things where somebody says they're from Brooklyn and they're insistent they're not from New York, they're from Brooklyn. It's like its own distinct
No,
entity.
it's not that.
Okay.
It's just, I need people to know I'm not glamorous. That's basically
That's
what it is.
The Valley.
Right. I
We
live
all
in
know
Los
what that
Angeles
means.
County, but
There
that's
we
not
go.
yeah.
I mean, what is Los Angeles proper, really, if not just, an amalgam of neighborhoods with one central core that no one actually lives in?
I
No, that's
remember
not
the
true.
first.
There's some people living there now.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots. The first year I lived here, I was living in Valley Village, which is, in the valley.
Right.
And it was so hot that summer that my roommate and I were like, let's just go to the beach for we don't have to even get near the water. Just let's go somewhere where there's breeze.
Right.
And we drove and it was like an hour to the beach. We were there and we was like, oh, this is great. And then it was like, oh, we're still in LA County. We never left the county.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
And of
LA
course,
is
Van
so
Nuys.
big.
Van Nuys is the spiritual home of Industrial Light and Magic. Let's face it, because
That's
that's where
true.
they
Good
had
point.
the big warehouse
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
shot the special effects for Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie.
They
So-
weren't even, I don't even think there were Industrial Light and Magic at the time,
No,
were
they weren't.
Yeah.
No.
They were some fake name, basically.
Bunch of guys in a parking lot making one of the greatest science fiction films ever made.
Well, there's definitely a lot of warehouse space up here. So
Yeah. But Chris, by the way, is in the UK for the next couple weeks, so that's why Kyle is on board, being our third chair. So welcome back, Kyle. We'll talk about stuff, but Chris will be here for our commentary for part 2 of Terror of the Autons. But he did send us some images of where he is in the UK. So for those that don't know, by the way. Happy Magna Carta Day. It's Magna Carta Day today.
Is it actually Magna Carta Day?
No, it's not.
Of course
but
not.
A few weeks ago, for those that don't know, we had part 1 of our King's Demons commentary, and I was momentarily distracted by the screen grab of today, March the 4th. And I assumed that was Magna Carta Day in my excitement. It's not. June 15th is Magna Carta
What
Day.
I love is this is the thing that we've been getting just hammered on. Nobody else cares about some Doctor Who thing. It's always this very specific bit of historical pedantry that we get hammered on.
But it turns out
Rightly
that
so,
actually,
we were incorrect.
March 4th is actually when King John took the Crusaders' oath, which, if you watched The King's Demons and learned from it, you would know.
I don't recommend learning from the King's Demons.
No,
to further localize myself, I do have to
Yeah.
point out, as we are talking about Magna Carta, I live on Runnymede Street. That's real.
Whoa.
So
It ties in because Chris and Kat went to the British Library, where, of course, Magna Carta is on display.
I plan to do the same thing when I'm in London, just to troll us, including myself.
And so we've learned now that indeed June, there it is, when it was granted by King John at Runnymede in June 1215. So in June, and then Chris took several pictures of the Magna Carta display with a clear timeline that says June 15th grants Magna Carta, but then died just over a year later.
Is this
So-
canon?
Yes,
Is this
it is.
an
It is
AU of some sort?
actual canon of Magna Carta, and then there was a different version of Magna Carta that was.
what's the thing up there at the top? It says
1297.
6 April. That's today as we're recording.
Whoa! King Richard I died on this day
There
in
you go.
history.
Happy King Richard I dying day, everybody.
Yeah,
Was that
April
1190?
April 6th, 1199. April
1199.
April 6th. King Richard I died. which
11.99. That sounds like that's a very metal date. That sounds like the kind of date that would be quoted in some sort of Iron Maiden song or something.
It kind of does. I think that the Legend of Robin Hood ties in, at least Robin of Sherwood, I think, because King Richard died.
Don't dig another hole for us.
No, I'm just going by the 80s TV show, because then King John comes in, because it used to be Prince John, of course.
That's right.
But then King John, as played by Philip Davis, who would appear in The Fires of Pompeii, took over. I have to tie into the Doctor Who somehow.
That's fair.
Yeah, of course.
What I have to do. But so there's your little history lesson, Magna Carta. Chris is there learning all about Magna Carta, and then we'll be returning home after he has completed his education.
I'm sure they didn't, but it would be very funny if Chris and Kat were walking through there with a lute going, I sing in praise of Total War.
That would be great. That would be awesome.
They wouldn't, of course. But
it has to be Kat playing the lute and Chris with his baritone just singing.
Of course, yeah.
That's true. You could, I've said this before on this podcast, you could sing the lyrics of Sing in Praise of Total War to the tune of War Pigs by Black Sabbath, and it matches perfectly.
I wonder if that was intentional. Probably not.
I'm sure it was. Peter, who wrote that? Did Terrence Dudley write the lyrics for that, or did Peter Howell?
Maybe he was a fan of War Pigs. Who knows?
Maybe he was a fan. Like, I'm just gonna get some War Pigs going on. I guess just get the creative juices flowing a little bit, but matches up. Lighter news list though, because of course all the news that happened in the past couple weeks, because we had like 2 trailers, and Kyle being a Doctor Who fan and someone who works in the media, the mainstream nerd media, sure. We'd love to get your take on the trailers and how the industry perhaps is seeing the Doctor Who launch as it's happening right now.
Well, as far as the push goes, like it's amazing to me that we've already had 2 trailers, and right? I just think back at the previous regime where it's like we're lucky to get 1 trailer the day before the show airs. You know what I mean? So just knowing that there's been 3 trailers, and actually more exciting was not 3 trailers, 2 trailers, but the more exciting one to me is the release of the episode title, like splash frames or whatever.
Yeah, we covered last week. Yeah,
those are so cool, and like and also you just get to see like, oh boy, Russell T Davies is giving himself a lot of work this season because he's writing almost everything.
Yeah. I wonder how much of that was like stored up from years ago.
I wonder. Yeah,
well, probably. Yeah.
And it's fewer episodes in total, but like when you add the 4 previous specials, it's like, oh, he's written a lot. So anyway, I loved all of that stuff, and it's just making me more and more excited, and like the fact that we're starting to be able to piece together who's in what episode and like what that is and all that stuff, and like who wrote what. I think that stuff is really fun, and everyone at Nerdist, but also like just elsewhere in the media, are really noticing like that, first of all, the fact that there's actually a push behind it, but also that there's clearly money spent on screen and off, because they are really trying to make this a hit. And I think that's exciting, because it seemed for so long there that nobody, and this I'm sure is wrong, but like it just seemed like the BBC was not giving it much love, and they had other stuff going on, obviously, but like as that is our favorite show, and also was like the biggest international like moneymaker for the BBC, was like, why aren't you doing this? But it's an interesting one, and like I know there's a lot of people who are like confused as to why it's season 1, and we've had to be like, okay, season 1 because they're starting anew, but it's technically still series whatever
14, but it's also could be, if you really want to be a nerd, it's season 40 apparently.
Right. Oh god, don't do that, please. No. I won't do that, and I'm a giant nerd.
No, I know, but yeah, to go from seasons in the classic series and then series from the reboot series and then back to seasons is like, okay, what? But it at the very least I think it's an easier push for people who aren't familiar with the show, or maybe fell off the show, to go, okay, here's a season 1 rather than here's a series 14. Like people aren't gonna jump on to that. So I don't mind that too much. That's just kind of, call it whatever you want, essentially. Like it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by the fact that like it almost, I don't want to say they're fighting, But it's like when the day of the Disney Plus trailer came out, the BBC released like new images, like a couple little promo images from the Beatles episode Devil's Chord, just to say, hey, look at us, we have exclusive stuff too. And then the Disney trailer came out, it was great. I think the BBC like put it out like after, but then the BBC had their own trailer,
which is a little more traditionally BBC-ish.
Yeah.
Still good.
I know, which I thought was intriguing. It's almost like, they're not competing, but I think they want to prove that they're still relevant when it comes to, the fact that they're promoting Doctor Who too. That I kind of got that impression that they still want to, like, when you read every press release, it's still like, when it says like, oh, and here's info about the various places, and on the BBC one it says quintessentially British.
Now you could be just crafting your own narrative and looking for things that are
a little
really
bit,
there,
but
too.
I think the BBC is going out of their way to sort of say that this is still a British show, it's still being made by and for the BBC, despite the level of interest
despite
that Disney
the
has
war
in it.
crime of having it on at midnight in England, which of course is terrible and awful, and a slap in the face to every Briton with an O at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, everything drops at midnight. Like,
who cares?
Like
it's
that's my
convenient
whole
to
thing.
me, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
to kind of push back on your narrative there, Stephen.
Sure.
It's because it doesn't air on Disney Plus in the UK. They have to advertise it for the people who are actually going to be able to watch it.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Just because we're on the internet all the time and can see both doesn't mean like the BBC itself still needs to advertise its own programming because that's the only way for British people to watch it. So unless they have a VPN, so I think it's more that, and also it's a co-production now, or whatever they call it, and so the BBC still has to represent its own interests. It can't just let this other co-producer do everything. It's all kind of like legal and I'm sure financial, but legal especially. It's like you have to. I'm sure there's something in place for the Disney deal to be like, you have to take care of your own marketing. We're not going to market your show for you in your own region. Yeah. So, and hey, that just means we got 2 trailers, and I'm
not complaining. That's
true.
Fine. And the Disney trailer wasn't exactly like, it wasn't quintessentially American. It still felt like a Doctor Who trailer.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I know. We mentioned this last week about how it felt like, it's amazing how, apart from Unit, which we sort of know about, the trailers have shown that this very much feels like Doctor Who, but there is nothing recognizable in it other than that there's a doctor and a companion and a TARDIS. Yeah, but there's no good. It's not building on, oh, look who's back. Oh, look at this reference from Deep Cut. Like there's no.
It will be that eventually, but yeah.
Yeah, but the approach to this is something more or less brand new for a 60-year-old TV show compared to when sort of the approach to the initial Jodie seasons where you don't have to have watched any Doctor Who. It's almost like it was like, please don't watch any Doctor Who, but please watch this. It was like they were trying to reassure people that you could watch this, whereas the approach now is they are getting people excited to watch this.
And you just walk in on it, which is much more likely when it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, please come
across it.
Please come and watch it, as opposed to don't feel like you have had to have watched it to enjoy it. It's a slightly different approach, I think. I don't know what you think, Kyle, but
I completely agree, and I think that at this point it's been on long enough as an institution that people who are interested will be able to find the older stuff. And that, that's the other part of it, is that nothing pre Star Beast will be on Disney Plus. So and I think there was plenty of referential stuff in those 3 Tennant specials. That was the point of those.
Yeah.
And so I think starting anew and just, they're bringing back Rose Noble, which is cool. I like that. But and
Mel,
Unit, obviously, and
Mel's a deep cut, so yeah,
right, exactly. So, but I think visually, and also it looks like there's yet another musical number, because there was obviously in the Church on Ruby Road, and it looks like the Beatles episode has another
that's probably true,
which is that's a completely different thing. And so I think for a lot of people wondering or worrying perhaps if Russell T Davies was going to just kind of fall back on his old styles, especially given everybody who's producing it and everything like that. it doesn't seem like it that much to me. Like he's
true.
also writing for bigger budgets, which I think is something that like he even said on one of the commentaries was like something he'd never had to do before or thought about doing before. It was like,
right,
we have more money, so let me write for more money. And like,
and those Tenet specials and the first Shooty one didn't have that money, which is crazy because they still look great.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the Disney money wasn't there for which is quite. I thought it was interesting how the trailer for the Disney trailer like included like shots from Church on Ruby Road, and we wondered if I keep checking like every day if the trailer that Disney put on there is going to be on Disney Plus. It's not yet. And B, are they going to rebrand the specials as not special 1, 2, 3, and 4 and actually like fold them into the actual, like certainly I think maybe the Shurigawa Christmas special will be like the first
I think so.
episode maybe like of that first season. I think like just by the way that they're including that in the whole narrative, I think might be a
it doesn't make sense not to. Otherwise it's just disjointed for no reason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I mean, obviously, too, that's where you introduce so much of what this new era is going to be. And I think it does, like, the Church on Ruby Road is not super Christmassy. It doesn't need to be Christmassy. It just kind of happened to be on Christmas. So I think effectively making it episode 1, if they wanted to do that, is fine, you know. But who knows how they're going to do it. I'm assuming they're going to be separate box sets. This is what I'm assuming. If they ever put these out on Blu-ray. Yeah. But
that's where Bi-Generation works out great because you've already taken care of all that stuff and then it's just right on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it was Steve Manford who one of our live streams pointed out that I think Disney has like a year exclusivity or something on Disney Plus before they want to put out digital media. That's why like The Mandalorian and Loki, I think, are out on Blu-ray.
I believe so, yeah. And WandaVision too, I think.
Yeah. And WandaVision. They're slowly putting out those Marvel and Star Wars shows,
Yeah, knowing that nerds like us will buy them sometimes several times over. So, you know, it'll probably be a year.
Where is my despecialized Star Wars? Oh, it's all you got to do, Disney. I would pay God knows how much for 3 pristine, unscrewed with Star Warses.
It's amazing.
Well, that is something you can blame Kathy Kennedy for. We were talking before we started recording that there's not a lot. People are foisting blame on her like she was Obama back in the day
because she's visible.
Thanks, Obama. Everyone's saying that. Right.
Yeah.
But because she's friends with George Lucas, she's not going to do that.
Yeah,
and
that's
so that
true.
Was
that's
the big
unfortunate.
Thing. So,
I mean, I've got the despecialized version that some nerd worked on, so I'm complaining about nothing.
Yeah,
it's 30 gigs, but it's glorious. The Vaseline is back on the land speeder, baby. Oh, it's so good. Looks like crap. I love it.
That was right and proper. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about, Kyle? Before about what Doctor Who on Nerdist or your other stuff?
Yeah, well, sure. I would like to plug a video I made.
Please do.
We plugged it a couple weeks ago too. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think. So I'll plug it again. I made this whole video about like the history of regeneration, specifically the Doctor regenerating, but I talk a little bit about Romana and River Song in there and stuff like that, kind of going from beginning to end and starting with the idea that like getting bent out of shape about bi-generation is silly because every regeneration is completely different and silly and they made up the rules as they went along and just kind of going through and talking about it within universe, but also metatextually, like Robert Holmes had a very little idea that they were ever going to get to 12 regenerations. So say
I remember
12,
being hung up on that a little bit, going, how can they do this? How can they do this based on this? And then, of course, they did. So same with
throwaway comment. Literally a throwaway comment. Yeah.
But the thing is, Doctor Who fans are also silly. So there's that.
That too. Yeah.
There's that. So anyway, I would like to, it's called Doctor Who's Regeneration Makes No Sense, I believe. On you can find that on Nerdist YouTube, and it's a picture of David Tennant looking very confused, as is his wont. But yeah, we spent my coworker and video editor Adam Murray and I spent a long time on that one. So I would love it if people would watch it. I think it's fun and funny. I try to not take it too seriously. And there's a lot of me ranting about various aspects of it.
How does the Watcher fit in? Because to me, the Watcher is the most goofy one.
Oh, you mean
the Peter Davison one?
Spent the Gopless,
yeah. No, he looks like a tall version of E.T. when he has no blood. You know when E.T. doesn't have any blood? That's what it looks like.
Yeah, he totally does. It just made no sense to me even at the time. I'm like, well, why is this guy floating around? What's going on here?
I'll give away one of my jokes is that during Davison's regeneration, when he says, I might regenerate. I don't know. It feels different this time. I'm like, how would you know? It's never felt the same. I guess it is different than having a ghost climb into your body.
I guess so, yeah.
Because that's, Also, how did Nyssa know any of that stuff? This is all stuff I get into. It's like Nissa's the one who goes, it was the doctor the whole time. You just showed up one episode ago. How do you know that stuff?
Yeah. But she figured it out. She figured it out in an overdub.
But that's the beauty of Doctor Who, is that it's making narrative excuses for meta narrative choices. Essentially, they're like, how do we figure this out? I don't know. Let's just say it's this. Okay, great. Let's do that. And
Doctor Who's lack of regard for continuity is one of the things I love about it. He's just screw it. It was like that before. It's like now we've got different doctors before Hartnell. Well, whatever. We got them.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. It doesn't fundamentally change anything you've seen. Like that's the other beauty of like a time travel show, is that it still all happened. Nothing has been rewritten literally. It has just been like recontextualized. Also, and everyone loves, I mean, I'm not saying that Chibnall did it particularly artfully, saying that there was, he could have done it a lot more subtly and kind of, there could have been a mystery around it. But anyway, what does that say?
Yeah, that's right.
It says there's no such thing as official pretend. That's a quote somebody took of me.
To quote Warren, that somebody made a ribbon of Gallifrey 1. And
it's
also,
all pretend. It doesn't matter. Oh, you're going to have to staser that. I'm sorry. I just swear.
I had a quote. I just sweared. I
swore. I wasn't going to say it, but you
did. To quote Ian Chesterton from Doctor Who itself, the Doctor usually dives in and finds a way, and that's that's kind of how it works too. So it's a fun video, Kyle. I like all your videos on Nerdist. Even some of them I don't understand what you're talking about, because you're talking about franchises that are completely, thinking, I don't know what's going on here. That's fine, but I've always enjoyed your style on these videos, so I'm glad.
And I'll plug a video that we have, which is not Doctor Who related, but that's no, I'll do that at the end. I'll do plugs at the end.
Oh, sure, perfect. Yeah, I guess we're doing plugs now, Kyle.
I don't know. Do you want me to talk about it right now?
No, it's fine. We'll totally plug some of the stuff that you're working on at the end of this
for
segment.
Heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Have some production values in your head.
I'm kidding, of course, Kyle.
I know.
Of course. Anyway, happy Magna Carta Day. It's
I like how we're basically trolling ourselves at this point.
It's that day in history where Magna Carta was signed. Did you know, this is exciting news. We're not children, we don't have children, but Doctor Who BBC has actually launched Wonder Chase experience on Roblox.
That's a lot of words.
What is Roblox? Roblox is some sort of online thing. We don't have kids. We're not kids, so I don't quite understand it. But
toys surrounding all of us might say different. But okay.
Yeah, that's true. But Roblox is like an online experience where you're basically like faux Lego people, and you wander around and gather coins and learn how to jump. I know this based on the 2 minutes that I tried it last night, because Doctor Who is on Roblox with Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor and Ruby Sunday. And so you can wander in. Thankfully, it did not take me long to get to. But
do you have what's the procedure to do this? Because I probably will download this just to screw around.
I created an account, and it's free. You can pay to get like coins and stuff. It's like one of those things, but I don't care about that. I just wanted to see Doctor Who. So literally, I ran down, and boom, there was like on the opening page, there was like the BBC things, like Gary Lineker's there. All the kids love Gary Lineker on Match of the Day. And
that dog. We're just normal men. We're human men. That dog.
I don't know who that. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know who the rest of the people are, but I know who Doctor Who is. And he's right there. He's like, I walked down a thing there, and all of a sudden there's Doctor Who there, and he says, "Hiya, I'm the Doctor." He wasn't actually Ncuti Gatwa. There's no voices involved like that. And he says like 3 different things. I will fix this, and time travelers are great, like the best. Like wow, and then he just
that is in character. And there's like a little thing noting it's the 15th Doctor, just to really confuse children to have no idea. Oh, the 15th. What's going on?
Season 1 and the 15th Doctor.
Yeah.
Right, that makes total sense. And then Ruby Sunday is right next, and she basically just says, "I'm Ruby Sunday." And then you go through a little portal. There's even like advertises for BBC iPlayer, which I thought was kind of cool. And also then you go into the world, and there's the TARDIS there. You can't go into the TARDIS.
Boom.
But Doctor Who is standing right next to his TARDIS. And you can run down a little hill a little bit, but I wouldn't get lost, so I ran immediately back up the hill of the TARDIS, and thus ended my Roblox experience.
No, I'm gonna do better than you. This I vow.
Yeah, please do.
I won't at all.
I apparently have to unlock 2 more things to learn how to double jump to get up to a thing, because a little blob told me that you have to learn how to double jump in order to get up here, and
Don't tell me how to live, the blob.
I know, and I was worried that I wouldn't be able to see Doctor Who, but I did. I managed to spot him. So yeah, Doctor Who.
It's not
Roblox.
like Lego Dimensions where you can unlock other doctors.
No, I think it's just
God, that was
Shooty
fun,
Gallows
wasn't
Doctor.
it? Oh, man.
Oh boy,
I wasn't willing to pay the Lego tax on that.
I
'cause
sadly
it seemed like a lot of money.
I paid way too much money for that.
I could just go on YouTube and watch people do stuff in the TARDIS.
It was really great, though. That was like literally the best of both worlds. There was a video game for Doctor Who, and it was Lego. That was
And
made
the people who made
especially
it were giant
for me.
nerds who knew their Doctor Who.
huge nerds. Yeah.
And they had, they were supplements to the game, but that doesn't mean you couldn't buy official Lego pieces that were various characters. And obviously there's the TARDIS set, which I think we all have.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
But yeah, that was really fun. I was just like, oh, you can get the 12th Doctor in a different costume than he has in that set. It's like, ooh, fun. You know, like I love that stuff.
Meaning you get the little mini TARDIS in K9, and then you can get the Dalek and Cybermen. So I have like 3. I had 3 of the Cybermen and Dalek sets. So I've got like 3 Cybermen. 3 Lego Cybermen.
I can't believe it.
Yeah,
You a
official.
Legoist?
Amazing. I know.
Legoist.
Legoist.
I would just like to point out the other day we were, if you listen to Doctor Who, the writer's room, Eric and I sometimes do these like ranking lists, and we were talking about regeneration stories. And we were talking about Logopolis, but Eric kept saying Legopolis. So
the thing is,
that is your
Legopolis is kind of made out of Lego when you get right down to it. I mean, that block transfer computation is essentially Lego.
Oh, that's why I chose my name. My handle, my brand, if you will, is Legopolis, because I like Lego and I
Your
like
brand
Doctor
is
Who.
strong because that was hot on our
just like
lips. I didn't
in
like
his
that
brain.
phrase.
I know.
Mine is a nickname from college 30 years ago.
Yeah. Eric married us. Eric married Eric and I at.
Yes, he did.
You did.
He's an official priest in California, which anybody can do, but
Church
which is kind of
Natural
the
Life
beauty
or
of it.
something like that. Yeah, I think the same church that Doug Henning, I think, probably was a part of. But
sweet.
I have no
It's
idea.
magic.
He just levitated as he swore you into as man and wife.
Yeah, pretty much. Man and wife.
That is such an old reference. I can't believe
It
you
really
referenced
is.
Doug Henning.
Oh my God. Doug Henning and man and wife. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. I'm
This is-
just full of improper nonsense today.
This is why we do not have a clue about what Roblox is, but you can join the fun online at Roblox, whatever. A couple other things before we get on to the commentary. The Companions of Doctor Who is a book that's coming April 10th. That's like this coming week, actually. It's compiled by our good friend Ken Deep, as well as David Bushman, with various articles about the companions, not all the companions of Doctor Who. It's not like a companion piece from a few years ago, but there's a few of them that are in there, and it looks lovely. And it comes out April 10th. Yi-Ji So has written one about Chang Li, which I thought was kind of cool. Like it's almost like a biography, autobiography in a way, because of course it's the guy who played him. But so that's coming out. Links in the show notes to the Amazon page to buy that book that's coming out. I know Ken's been working on it quite a while. And did panels on it in Gallifrey 1 and everything. So finally, it's good to see that finally come to fruition. One last bit of news from Big Finish. The Death and Life of River Song Last Words is coming out on August in 2024. A new thing because the whole River Song, the Diary of River Song sort of wrapped up. And now there's a new series that starts on August 24th.
I would be remiss if Riley, our good friend of the show, Riley, they have a podcast called Game of Rassilon where they do basically D&D with Doctor Who. The idea behind Big Finish is that she gets downloaded into a new clone body. Well, apparently Game of Rassilon did it first, so we should probably shout out to them.
Oh, so are you saying that Big Finish has ripped off Game of
I very
Rassilon?
much doubt it. I think it's like Deep Impact and Armageddon. It's just like some stuff happened at the same time.
Right.
And my reference is about 30 years old. I'm like, I'm sure there's something more recent than that, but what sprang to mind.
Well,
there's
how
been
will it
nothing
happen?
the same since then.
No,
Nothing.
the Hollywood's been very
No.
iconoclastic and not depending on IP at all for the last 30 years.
I love the photo that Big Finish released for it because it's just Alex Kingston, and you know what she's saying when she's saying spoilers. Just like, but she just knows how to say spoilers without actually saying
With an impish grin.
spoilers. Very impish grin, Alex Kingston. who is lovely. There you go. That is the lull. That is news right now in Doctor Who in early
I'll give it a
April,
month.
because we've had 2 trailers and stuff, but of course we're like 5 weeks away from brand new Doctor Who.
Madness.
So it'll all kick off towards the end of this month, and then in May as Disney ramps up and everything. But which Kyle, I'm sure, will be all over at Nerdist.com. This is your time, Kyle. What else do you want to talk about? Do you want to plug?
I would like
for stuff that's coming up.
This week another video that Adam and I have made is about how weird the 90s Marvel cartoons were and how they tried to establish a continuity and failed miserably.
Right.
And mostly because like characters crossed over, but then they didn't have the rights sometimes. So they would have like a different version of the characters on one show.
Much like
but
the
then
MCU.
on the other show. Yeah, totally. So like,
wow.
So like the version of Hulk that is on the Iron Man show is different from the Hulk that's on the Hulk show, but the Iron Man from the Iron Man show does appear on the Hulk show. So like it's just like what?
That's
It
confusing.
makes no sense. It's very strange.
Wow.
So anyway, that's coming out on Wednesday on Nerdist.com. But then you can also every Thursday listen to a podcast that I do on Nerdist called Laser Focus, which is kind of a deep dive pop culture, not weekend review. It's about one specific thing. A lot of it recently has been, newer stuff, but then we also, do what are we just kind of passionate about? Like one of our earliest episodes was about Power Rangers in Space, which was a show from the early or like mid 90s, maybe like it just,
right.
a lot of stuff like that. We have definitely talked about Doctor Who and will continue to do so. Ty Gooden, who you may or may not know, is my coworker, and she is also a huge Doctor Who fan, as obvious. And so we she's been on quite a few times. We talked about all the specials, and then so we'll have there's a rotating group of Nerdist people who are on the show with me, but then I also have like other outside guests. Like I just had Dr. Emily Zarka on, who from the channel Storied on the PBS network, talking about big giant monsters, because her thing is all kind of learning about the folklore and history of monsters and stuff like that. So anyway, if you enjoy nerdy stuff, if you enjoy deep dives into, which I'm sure if you listen to Radio Free Skaro, but we've talked about Star Trek, we've talked about Star Wars, we've talked about Marvel, like we talk about all the big stuff, but also all kind of like in between weird stuff as well. So that's that Laser Focus, which you can listen to anywhere you get podcasts.
I have one saved on my queue still that has the title is Spinal Tap, the greatest comedy ever made, and and I wanted to save that for a time when I could properly dedicate and listen to it to obviously agree with you, because yes, it is. Because I love that. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And it's fun to have you on, Kyle. It's been a while.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Missed you at Gallifrey 1. Obviously, we talked for 31 weeks on the Memory Cheats this past, and we'll talk again in about 10 years' time for Series 5.
You know what? The longer we wait to have to do that, the better, I think. Like, let's keep this going as long as it's good.
That's true. I think we'll probably rebrand the Memory Cheats as Season 1, obviously, when we get to talking about the RTD2 era. Yeah.
Two men past pension age who are talking about a show that was for children.
Probably. Yeah, but we're all children in the end, aren't we?
It's a good point.
Judging by our taste, and indeed by the collection of toys in Kyle's background, if you're watching this on YouTube.
Or mine. So. You can't see it.
And comic books.
And comic books. Don't forget the comic books. Radio. All right, Kyle. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. After the break, it's time for our classic series commentary for part 2 of Terror of the Autons.
Are the microphones wired in?
All round the condenser, most merciful. We're looking forward to excellent duodecaphonic sound.
This is the moment when I get a real feeling of job satisfaction.
Welcome back. It's the commentary, the classic series commentary portion of the podcast. We are watching episode 2 of season 8, Terror of the Autons. Hope you've got your legally purchased Blu-rays and DVDs or VHS copies at the ready, because we are about to watch episode 2 right now. Here we go, everyone. everyone begin to press play in 3, 2, 1, play. And we return to Joe clocking Captain Yates, which we talked over last week.
Absolute silence this time.
Yep.
We have to see this. Witness this glorious event.
Just pure reverence for the moment at hand here.
The moment. The moment has arrived, Doctor.
Yeah, punching him.
It's a
It's certainly been prepared for.
moment in time.
Yeah. My old Bob Holmes, Roberto Holmes. This is his 4th story for Doctor Who.
Okay.
Yep, there you go. Here we go. Here's her. Look at those rings. Those are actual rings too.
Oh,
Bam!
yeah. I mean, she wears
right in the gut.
buttload of rings now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Shudigawa wears 5 rings total, I think. 3 on one hand, 2 on the other.
I love that backdrop of the cityscape, the black and white photo they had in the window there.
Struth. Did he actually say Struth?
He did.
Wow.
I think that word was kind of on its last legs at the time.
Struth. I mean, that would be
hearing
on
it
its
in
last...
Monty Python once.
Really?
Yeah.
It feels like it's on its last legs in Shakespeare's time.
Mm.
Struth. I miss out-of-date words.
You can always start bringing them back.
I am trying to do that
I miss the
sometimes.
non-offensive out-of-date words.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, I feel like Struth doesn't have its. Although I'll admit, whenever I hear like a phrase, I go, "Oh wow, that's been around for a while. Let's look that up. Let's just look that phrase up.
It never ends well.
Just to be sure."
It referred to a moneylender in the 14th century in Austria. Oh dear, let's not read any further.
That's bad news. Yeah,
Although now I'm going to look it up because here we go. We have to know what truth is.
I know.
All
Well, please do, because you know what? There is the phrase "grandfathered in" has bad connotations because it means it goes back to basically Jim Crow laws and slavery in the U.S. But no one has thought of a different thing in. So the phrase "grandfathered in" has literally been grandfathered in. We have no other replacement for that phrase.
Well, how long have you, probably not recently, but I'm sure as kids we all said, how are you out of your cotton picking mind? Because you'd hear it on cartoons all the time. And now you realize this is where that came from. And you're like, oh, God.
Yep.
Just like rule of thumb.
Rule of thumb, that's right.
It's about like beating women, but you can't use something wider than your thumb.
Wider than your
Some
thumb.
such.
Anyway,
That's where it comes
Struth comes from Rudyard Kipling, 1892. It's not even that old, all things considered. But it's from Rudyard Kipling, so it's probably racist somehow.
Probably somehow along the line. Was it from a poem, I wonder? Or,
Apparently, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it was originally a British contraction of the phrase God's truth.
I figured as such, yeah. So probably from before 1892, I'm thinking.
So it's kind of like how the Americans will always say, oh my gosh, and they say it really emphatically, and it always makes me laugh because I'll just say, oh my Christ, or oh my God, or something. Right? But I'll never say, oh my gosh, because it sounds ridiculous. But when Americans say it, it sounds genuine.
Yeah, I know, especially from the Midwest, yeah. Oh my gosh, oh gosh, oh no. Black pudding. Poor guy. Apparently he's a renowned actor, and Doctor Who kills him off early in the 2 appearances that he's in.
I gotta say, does any master other than Missy in her Victorian garb rock a suit better than Delgado? I'm not sure if they do.
Delgado,
Like, he is really cutting a fine figure here.
so sharp.
Yes, sir.
Damn. Like, he's still the governor. Let's face it. Delgado is just.
It's like if you had like the end of the 50th anniversary with all the doctors, and then you had the chairman of the board, Hartnell, you'd have Delgado in the background, you'd had all the masters.
He'd be up on
Which
top.
I'm sure Big Finish has done as a cover.
We just assume that everything we've guessed and dreamt up. Oh, I'm sure Big Finish has probably done that. If not, they should. Have there been master action dollies? How many master action dollies have there been? Do you know off the
I have
top
2
of your head?
Delgados, so there's those.
Okay, so there's been a Delgado at least.
There's at least 2 different Sims.
Right.
Hoodie Sim and regular Sim.
Okay, good.
I don't think there's old Sim, like older Sim.
I don't care. I just want. All we need is one. All we need is
All
one.
you need is Eric Roberts.
There's definitely Missy. I don't know if there's an Eric Roberts one.
I don't think so.
I don't know if there's an
There's
alien one.
no
I'm pretty
Gordon
sure there
Temple.
is an alien one.
There's got to be an alien one,
There's
right?
skeleton. There's both skeletons.
There's Pellets and Pratt. Pratt one.
Yeah.
There's no Sasha Dewan yet.
No,
Sasha
which is a
Dewan
crime.
yet. Yeah, it is terrible. So you can almost do it. We're almost there.
Oh, there's a Derek Jacobi one. Professor Yana
There is
the Master.
Yeah, Yana one.
I have that one. Yeah.
You could totally do it. You could almost, apart from Sasha Dewan, sadly, you could.
Well, it's got to wait till he shows up, and whoever RTD throws at us next a couple years.
That's true. Yeah. Or now, maybe what's her name at the end of
Jinx Monsoon
Church on
is the
Ruby
master.
Road? No, it says, "Oh, what's the matter? I've never seen a
Oh,
TARDIS
Mrs.
before."
Mrs. Flood.
Mrs. Flood is obviously the master. She isn't.
Well, it is an anagram for Duluth.
I guess.
Duluth or Duluth, Minnesota. Is
There
that
you
what you
go.
meant to say?
See?
Yeah,
It's
that's
all
it.
coming together.
As we record this, it's not long since Doctor Who Magazine 599 came out. And apparently there was a thing in there about some dialogue between Mel and Donna about Time and the Ronnie in the giggle that got cut.
Mm-hmm. Thank God for that. And it was not to say, "Oh no, we're going to bring the Ronnie back." It was because it slowed the entire scene down. That's why I
It
got rid of
would
it.
definitely have done so, yeah.
Yep, that's why I got cut.
No, television's at its best when it slows everything down and explains things.
Explain things. You got to explain it. How did Darth Vader get from there to here? Who knows? We got to show it.
It just reminds me of when the end of
Why
Good
did
Omens.
Palpatine come back? We don't got to show it.
Yeah.
They just should have not brought Palpatine back. That would solve that problem. But it just reminds me of when the end of Good Omens in season 2, when a fan in particular, didn't like the ending, so they messaged Neil Gaiman and said, "I wrote a fic that fixed it for you." Like, wow.
That fixed it for you.
Yeah, like, I'm not even Neil Gaiman's biggest fan, but you don't tell a guy who created the thing, "I fixed it for you." Come on.
Oh, man. Come on, fans. We could be better than that.
No, that's honestly, we can't.
Having said that, I
We're
do
dirt.
how you have a fan film ready to be unleashed whenever RTD lets me down. I'm thinking, no, here's what you should have done. I'll tag you on Instagram. There you go.
Here's my Lego version, which is inherently better because it's Lego.
Yeah.
And I'm only half joking.
Oh, he's gonna hypnotize him, or he's gonna try to anyway.
He fails.
But he's a stubborn old ghost.
These are the glory days of business. You didn't have to use buzzwords or anything else. You just came in, acted evil, hypnotized a dude.
Right? God, business was more honest in those days.
Exactly.
Damn it.
In
You
its
just be
duplicity.
straight up evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
None of this corporate buzz speak or anything like
We'd
that.
have backhand him
He was
with
gonna
his ring.
nail him.
Man, I hate wearing a tie, but that is a hell of a tie.
Right?
I like the color and it matches the pocket square.
Yeah. Ken True is designed a sharp suit.
That's a 70s suit and it is sharp. Do you know how difficult that is?
Well, I mean, it's tail end of the 60s, really, when it's like, it's a
I
little
suppose,
tire
yeah.
lapels.
Yeah,
and
because it's a
stuff
thinner
like that.
tie. And yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, it still looks good.
Something, sharp dressed man.
Yeah. Or like the tweet I saw the other day about how the 3 Days of the Condor was all about a man too fly to live. So the CIA wants to kill him.
Yeah.
Because every single thing Robert Redford wears in that, he looks damn... Well, it's Robert Redford.
Robert Redford's
he could wear a burlap sac and he'd look good, but he looks even better
Sexy beast in those
with
days.
all the
yeah.
clothes he's got. Mm-hmm. This parking lot's a bit sweet, too. Look at all these beasts.
Oh, I love old cars. I mean, this is my favorite era of old cars. My favorite era of old cars is mid-'80s for some strange reason. Good, sensible cars from the mid-'80s, like the Saab 9000. That's my time
I just
period
had a
of
pang of
cars.
nostalgia for those radios, too, with the buttons.
Oh, we'll see a little more of it, I think. Or no, we'll see the heating unit, I think.
What-
if you
what
want,
was
if you want to get a good shot of the radio, watch Closet of Access because Filer is playing with it. Anyway, Warren, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, well, two things. One, whenever I see this, I just think of Dave Barsky because that was his that was his thing on Twitter for the longest time. This dude,
It was too, though, the
doll.
creepy little troll doll. Yeah.
and also I just remembered. I flashed back to when I was a kid. We used to have a Zenith TV when I was a kid in the 70s, which
Right.
was like the dial ones, which were great for. By the way, speaking of Super Channel and First Choice, you could descramble it using the little analog controls, sort of. But then we got a Sony Trinitron, and it had buttons instead. And I was like, you can go from channel 10 to channel 2 without going through the other channels? What is this
Bypassing 3 through
madness?
9. Wow.
You kids today have no idea.
You have no idea, kids. You have no
They
idea
really
what
don't.
it was like.
And they're probably good that they don't because it didn't take much to impress us.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't old enough to have like a tethered remote control then.
No, we didn't have that. I don't even think it had a remote control.
No, I never had a TV with a tethered remote. It was straight from dial to
Yeah,
remote.
the first remote I ever had was the TV I bought in like 1990.
Wow. Hey, there's the first dematerialization circuit that still has that same design. Didn't they use this exact same design in like the Jodie Whittaker era too?
I believe they did.
And
Yeah.
it was also an episode. It was also in episode 1, but
It was.
It looks like the inside of a Rubik's Cube as well.
I wouldn't know that, Warren, because I would obviously Warren took his apart to try and.
I sure
I
did.
took mine apart.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. Because I'm an inquisitive fellow who wants to know how things work and cheat.
Wow,
Well, that's why today he's an engineer.
that's true.
No, I have descended from an engineer, but I am not. I am a filthy liberal arts major.
He could have just said arts major, and we would have
Yeah,
just
exactly.
assumed you were liberal. But
I want to know where those two little spear arrow things are on the wall, which we don't see right now, but they pass by. They're near the entrance.
okay,
Like what inadvisable campaign was the Brigadier on that those came back from?
oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Oh
there.
wow!
Yeah.
Oh, that looks.
There's a photo there, so I assume that it'll have.
And here's where I
some
violated
context.
somebody's rights.
Yeah, like what else have we got on the wall here? Is that like a giant like tusk or a fang or a claw
in
or
the back.
something?
What crimes can we illuminate here on this
What
wall?
is happening here?
The one on the left looked something
Like a
unmentionable.
head? Yeah, like this. What
I mean,
colonial
he's-
nonsense is this unit up to here?
He worked in the military. He's in charge of UN. Yeah, he's dealt a little ivory.
I think you'll find, Stephen, they've been to the Dark Continent.
Oh no, God, 1971.
Oh, here we go. Here's some sweet CSO again.
This is some good stuff for
it's not
its time.
that it's good. Well, this is even this CSO is worse than the other CSO.
It's not as. I mean, you know what? To be honest, I've seen some bad stuff in movies today
Yeah, actually,
where they're green screened on in
this
cars.
actually doesn't look that bad. All things. I mean, it looks bad, but it looks good within the.
It's only
badness, if
because
that makes any
you can
sense.
tell it's a guy, literally a guy in
Yeah,
a suit.
yeah.
But I still think it looks all right.
But
here we go. Look
when
at
it comes
that.
to the
Look at
process
that all.
screens, yeah, oh yeah.
Open the little window.
I was watching. I was kind of half watching. I was at home for Christmas, and my mom had some soap on, and this is a 2023 soap. And they were doing the driving scene, and it looked just like
Right.
that. And this is shot in HD, but it looked basically like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they're like, align this. Who cares?
No, we just pay for the stock footage and throw
And there's
it
a certain
back.
charm to that. That's what kind of I like about old movies when they start driving, and it's just the background is all over the hell's half
I
acre.
know. But then they stopped doing that for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks great. I tell you what, Das Boot, which is a superb movie from 1981, German movie set in a submarine, and then there's like a couple scenes that are set like above when they go above deck and like are going through a storm, and it looks embarrassingly bad because it's shot like flat on, and they're basically just you could tell the people are just chucking buckets of water at them, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, but that's
This
where
is
suspension of disbelief
1981.
comes in.
Yeah, but like it's great. It's the most atmospheric movie ever made inside the sub. And they go outside of the sub. It's like, what is this? This is bad. Oof.
By the way, I love how the master is the quintessence of evil, because not only is he doing all this bad stuff, he's sitting there doing paperwork.
Yeah.
just out of spite, I think.
Yeah, while elephants are being exploited. Yeah, just the whole circus should be shut down. Damn it, Doctor Who.
If this is current Doctor Who, every one of these clowns will be evil.
Well, they're clowns. I
They
think
wouldn't
actually,
but they wouldn't just be wandering around like doing
No,
their
I
job.
see what you mean. I mean, it is basically greatest show in the galaxy.
Well, it's
at
not
this point, I
annoying, so
think-
no, it isn't.
Well, I think at this point it would be like more of a thing to have the clowns not be evil. Actually, have the clowns be the heroes, because everyone just assumes clowns are creepy now.
Speaking of sweet jackets.
Old glitter jacket. I don't want a jacket. With
Oh,
sequins.
dear.
Oh,
Oh, well.
speaking of
Okay.
outdated represent, here's poor Roy
Government.
Stewart here.
It's not going to do well.
It's not going to go well for poor Roy Stewart, who had a much bigger role a couple years after this in Live and Let Die.
yeah.
Roger Moore's first James Bond outing.
Which-
Did he play a henchman?
No, he wasn't. I think he played like some guy who I don't remember the plot of the movie very much, I'm afraid. But he was he ran like a local boat shop or something. Where
Why are we keeping up appearances all of a sudden?
I
It's
love
pronounced bouquet.
I know. I love looking at houses and what they look like in 1971.
That
'cause
window
it's,
rules.
yeah. We just watched, just before recording this, a Muppet Show episode with Gene Stapleton as the guest, and she
This is
looks
like a old, like,
exactly like
70s Muppets?
Mrs. Farrell. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why would we watch new Muppets, Warren,
Well,
when
yeah.
there's old TV to watch?
I actually scrolled through all the different, when it came to Disney, I was like,
Yeah.
I recognize most of these names. I'm shocked that I do.
I know. Well,
A few
this is
kind of passed me by, but
this is who we are. I did that too, and now I don't do that. I specifically don't because I want to be surprised at the end of each episode to say who's the next guest host. Alice Cooper for what
Crystal
it's worth, is the
Gale,
next
Crystal
one.
Gale, 5 minutes, Crystal Gale. Nana Muscuri, 5 minutes.
Is Nana Muscuri in there?
I know,
mom-
I'm just throwing
my
70s
mom
names at the board here.
loved Nana Muscuri.
Roger Whittaker, 5 minutes,
Might
Roger
as well.
Whittaker.
Nana Muscuri and what's her face from Nova Scotia? Rita McNeil.
Rita McDowell. She's a little after.
Yeah, she's like 90s, 80s.
She's 90s, yeah. Not to poo-poo, but Nana Muscuri did Love on a Rose. That was her cover of that was
Now this is just, that's
Look
just
at that.
not cool at all.
that is proper actual cigar smoke too. That's not
Yep.
your stunt smoke.
Nope, that's proper method there.
Yeah.
And he called him a ruffian, which is even better.
Insufferable ruffian. Ah, poor Roy Stewart. Got himself as a job as a stuntman, basically saying, "Well, there's not many people in England who are, a stuntman and not white, so I can find a career here." And so that's basically what he became.
Now, this is going to sound bad,
Sadly,
but
didn't get a
a
lot of
lot
roles,
of TV shows that film in Vancouver, that very thing happens. Because I've talked to black actors in town, and they've told me, yeah, it's you can actually make a living here because they're not going to film in Seattle, but it's set in Seattle. So
Right.
that's what happens. Like they get, which is good. I'm glad they're getting some work, but
Uh-huh.
kind of the same things at play when you get right down to it.
It's intriguing, isn't it? A lot's changed, but a lot really doesn't change in the entertainment industry.
I mean, they're not playing awful stereotypes like this, I hope. But
No, obviously not. But, they are. I mean, how many people in Vancouver have played generic Americans? Genericans, if you will?
everyone.
You know?
I'm surprised I haven't, frankly.
Yeah, like their accent isn't like, it's not quite Canadian, but I don't know where they are from the U.S. They're just sort of like, if there was a received pronunciation when it came to American accents, they would have it, essentially.
And these are all trained actors, I'm sure. These people
Yeah.
who are in these,
Yeah.
if you've got a speaking part on a Vancouver show, you're probably a
Mm-hmm.
trained actor of some sort.
Well, you'd think that, but...
No time to argue. I'm surrounded by CSO.
But again, why would you build a set or go on location for that? Bring a whole telephone booth out for... I mean, the fact that it's on videotape is what, diminishes it.
I make fun of it, but I do love it.
Well, of course we love it. I mean, we're eager to please, or easy to please, rather. I'm fascinated. Look at that. I mean, the attention to detail. Look at the pictures are slightly crooked there. Like that is attention to detail because this is what their home would be like. Probably. Yeah, that's Jean Stapleton right there. I mean, that's basically what she looked like in 1979. That's what all women of that vintage looked like in 1979.
Except the ones with beehives drove around in convertibles.
I just sort of wore those same dresses and had their hair done in the same way. And I'm intrigued to see what happens when our generation gets. Although, really, how old is Mrs. Farrell in this episode? Like, how old was
Probably
that
my
woman who
age.
just left? I don't know about that. Because this guy here, his son is. I feel like he was giving his cue a little too late there.
She's in the CSO kitchen.
CSO
And I want a
Kitchen
show called CSO Kitchen.
comes on after Security Kitchen.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That the scale did not work at all there.
No, a little bit off on that one, but it's all right. That was all right. For a sequence, it was okay. 1971. I'm just gonna keep saying that. Whenever you see something that isn't agreeable, it's 1971.
Yep, it's just that whole scene is okay. Stop, and now start the
Yeah.
car again.
There we go. Wasn't even supposed to be included in it. Just sort of. I'm gonna break his arms off.
Now, has Tony been hypnotized, or is he just being a jerk?
I think he's just a jerk. I think he's because he. Oh, that's a good question. Because Rossini here, Lou Russell, has obviously been hypnotized.
Oh yeah.
So is Tony here just doing what Luigi Rossini is doing, like what he's telling him to do, or
when I read the book, I seem to recall Tony,
Straight for the
like the
ball.
doctor convincing Tony to let him go or something, but I could be wrong about that.
right? Yeah. I don't know. I'm also thinking of other black actors in Doctor Who history and where.
Well, that won't take you long if it's a classic series.
Yeah, and where we're at in regards to speaking roles and good. Earl Cameron in 10th Planet was like captain of the astronaut mission and stuff. But and then we got this. What's the next black actor we saw? Actually, we always see an extra in Inferno. I know that.
Plan of Evil, I think.
Oh, Lewis Mahoney. Yep,
Yeah.
that's he's in there. I'm trying to think.
The Mutants.
The Mutants, obviously Rick James.
Resurrection
Boy,
of the Daleks has a few black actors.
Yeah, it's
Well, and Battlefield does.
Battlefield, but when you watch as much archive British TV as I do, it's like, well, it's not just Doctor Who. That's
Oh well, yeah, of course. It's not just British TV. It's American TV
so
too,
white.
until like
Yeah.
the early 70s.
Hey, it's Christopher Burgess again. Oh, he's gone.
Easy come, easy go.
Easy go. He'll go pretty quick here in a
But he got
second.
paid. He got paid for that episode.
He
Also, let's-
sure did. Yep.
Let's not let Cat off the hook. Other than the polka dot door, I can't think of very many people. Like, did the King of Kensington have any neighbors? Which
No.
in Toronto, you'd think he would have a bunch of non-white
Yeah.
neighbors.
Yes.
Okay, well that answers that question then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
I don't know what a bunch, but he had some.
No, yeah.
Toronto is like one of the most multicultural cities in the world, so it damn well better. Like,
and it probably was in 1976 or whenever that.
I
show
guarantee
was
it was. It was
Yeah.
since the beginning. Like it's always been a city of immigrants, right? So
Mm-hmm. Well, sorry, Chris, your namesake is now.
look at that sweet carpet, or
Alone.
not carpet, but that rug, the
Yeah.
pink rug.
It's a good way of covering up the fact that his that Joe's reaction there really showed that he was probably not in a good way, good way there.
Every single interior in this seems like it came, well, except for this labs and stuff. Looks like it came out of like a Playboy pad from 1968. Are you a swinging bachelor? Well, we got the rug for you.
I like that he's. See, it further to your question there, Warren. Are these people in the circus? Have they all been hypnotized as well, or are they just ready for
Are they
blood?
just thugs? Yeah.
Are they just like? Or is this just clowns? Is this what carnies do? They just the the clowns are after them.
He just baseball batted the doctor,
Did.
for God's sake.
Just wow.
That's a sweet 70s cop
is
pull in
pretty
there
cool.
they just did.
Yeah, a little power slide there. Power.
What is this?
rift.
What is this? Charlottesville? Like, this is bad. Look at that.
Clowns and baseball bats and fake police
Needlessly
cars.
violent.
I do like that unit has like a. Apparently, they just go in their car.
Yeah, and on Mike's a backseat driver for some reason.
Yeah, they don't even have a Jeep. There we go. Some more CSO here.
I was gonna say he's like,
just a little
am I
bit.
hallucinating? Nothing makes any sense outside these windows.
I actually don't know if they did they like, is this like B-roll that they just get, like stock stuff as well, like they would do today in this day and age, or did they actually film it themselves? I don't know.
I bet you that's stuff. I bet you many other BBC shows have that exact same
Yeah,
roll of whatever.
like that spiral, like the props beside Benton there. I think is hired in from Training Post. I think it was the place. Because you see him in lots of Doctor Who episodes.
Maybe Tariq Anwar had to actually edit the film that they used for this,
Anwar.
for the background.
Yeah, maybe he was. He was a BBC editor, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
It was credited only on the Sunmakers. I don't know what else he did though.
I mean, he's the only film editor I can think of. So,
Yeah.
because I happen very funny book.
And his daughter is Gabrielle Anwar,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Who's been in like Burn Notice. Oh my God! That policeman's an
I
Auton.
never noticed a little drip of plastic coming out of the nose that makes it look like a booger.
That's the Nestine consciousness seeping out.
Yep.
That's all it was. It's not a booger at all, Chris. Get your mind out of the gutter.
God.
Yeah.
Talk about, weighty concerns like we have for the past half hour.
Mhm. Barbara Leak, who's played Mrs. Farrell, however old she is. There's Christopher Burgess in the credits there, and he's gone. So, will not be appearing in episodes 3 or 4. I'm so sorry about that. Good job, Robert Brothers. I think. No, actually bad because you exploited animals for years and years,
And
like every
people,
other
presumably.
circus. And people too.
Like, what kind of weird pictures of untoward acts does that circus ringleader have to have them just go, yeah, we'll beat this guy up, why not?
Yeah, I know, right? Like, they must just have him under the thumb. It's just like, oh, it's obscene. Well, we'll see if the circus has any more delights and terrors to offend us in the next episode commentary, which will be next time on this very podcast, right after Skaro. So join us there, won't you? Until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.